Welcome to the Your Entrepreneurship School podcast, or as I like to call it, the Yes Podcast. My name is Britta Moreta. I'm an executive business consultant for women who dream of living wildly and wealthy abroad. The Yes Podcast is for women who are ready to build a business that funds her dream life abroad so she can expand her business, bank account, and brilliance without settling for a life that tames her wildness. The Yes Podcast is sponsored by Bridal Babes Yoga, a Luxe start to your celebration. Ready to elevate your bachelorette or hen-do weekend with something truly unforgettable? My Bridal Babes Yoga experiences are crafted with intention, movement, and connection because you deserve more than just the usual. Immerse yourself in a soulful, joy-filled session designed exclusively for you and your crew. Whether you crave a restorative morning flow, a themed class with playful energy, or a heart-centered practice to set powerful intentions for this next chapter, we'll curate a dreamy experience that feels as radiant and one-of-a-kind as your love story. What to expect? Thoughtfully curated playlist, essential oil-infused head massage, a pause to breathe, move, laugh, and connect with the optional add-ons of tarot card reading, astrology chart reading, and friendship bracelet making. This isn't just a yoga class. It's a radiant start to your weekend, an unforgettable moment of luxurious relaxation and joy before the confetti. Let's make magic for your bridal crew. To book a Bridal Babes Yoga class, you can go to brittamoreta.com/bridal-babes-yoga or find our link in the show notes. Hello. I'm so excited that we are all here today. We are here with my dear friend, Maria Chietera. And Maria is based out of London. We met through a coaching program where I was coaching her in social media, and then we connected in person in London and started doing events together online. And Maria, I would love for you to introduce yourself and just share a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then we'll dive in.
Let's do this. Thank you, Britta. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here with you. And a very short introduction. I am Maria. I'm a professional coach. I'm also a trainer, coach, meaning I help young coaches, junior coaches going through their ICF certification, International Coaching Federation certification. And I'm also a mindfulness and yoga teacher, and I specialize in bringing mindfulness to the corporate world, doing office yoga or leadership development training based on mindfulness. And I'm based in London, I'm Italian, and that's it. That's my very short introduction.
Well, thank you for being here. Because this is the Yes Podcast, I would love to know, what are you saying yes to today?
Britt, I think I'm saying yes to vulnerability. I think it's very important to be open and vulnerable about topics like business and how we develop in this environment. And it would have been really helpful for me at the beginning of this journey to hear very vulnerable and honest conversation about this. So this is my intention, being vulnerable with you today.
I love that. I feel like that's been a theme of my week, is vulnerability. In sessions with people, in my own sessions, and just really having the courage to show up vulnerably. So I love that you shared this. Thank you for sharing it. And let's just dive into that. Let's start with vulnerability. Let's start with vulnerability in business and wellness, actually, because I feel like whether you are a yoga teacher, a coach, a meditation instructor, some kind of wellness practitioner, we're kind of like given this very painted story of what it is to be a wellness practitioner from the business side. You're just going to graduate yoga teacher training, or you're going to finish this coaching program, and you're just going to go out into the world and make all of this money and have this super successful business. And that is literally what it's painted as. But no one tells you how you're going to have to spend sometimes 12 to 15 hours a day on your business some days, to set up your social media, to set up your email funnels, to set up your website, to set up all your checkout systems, and also like taking the time to take care of yourself, but also creating like human connections with other people. And I just feel like there's so much that goes into it. And a lot of times we see on like social media, make 10K months, make 7K months, but like there's nothing real about it. And I think we need to bring a little bit of humanity into it and vulnerability. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Yes, Britta. Yeah, that's a good overview. I think I arrived to the conclusion, as a rule of thumb, I think I spend 80% of my time in admin tasks and finding my way through how to do the job, and then a 20% in actually doing the job that I love and that I was dreaming about. Yeah, I think I entered in this line of work this very romantic idea in mind. Yoga teachers and mindfulness and coaches are here for making our life easier, to unlock the best version of ourselves, quote unquote. And so I thought it would have been about this. But there's a lot of, I guess, how to say this, like there is a lot of inner work to do and navigating through uncertainty, a lot of uncertainty, and a lot of new skills to learn that are not necessarily coaching or mindfulness related. So it's definitely an adventure full of up and downs.
I
That's my
love
experience
that.
as well.
I agree with that. Like it's definitely an adventure, and I think it's really healthy to look at it from that perspective rather than like this is work, this is my job. Like that's too serious. I'm like let it be an adventure because it is truly an adventure. Like I feel like in my business, like I work directly with wellness practitioners, whether it's like retreat hosts, yoga studio owners, and a lot of times people don't talk about the fact that like it's actually just like managing personalities at the end of the day. Like that is what it is to be a business owner, which is very adventurous and very emotional. And I think when you are your own business owner, especially in wellness, we're so emotionally attached to our business. And something that has been really helpful for me is like discovering who I am outside of yoga, which is like a whole new adventure. And like discovering like who am I when I'm not teaching yoga, when I'm not practicing yoga, when I'm not teaching business. And like I have like fallen in love with this like whole other version of myself that I didn't even know exists because I have chosen to step back a little bit. And I think that is part of the adventure. Like how can we not be so emotionally involved? It's kind of like being like in a super up and down relationship. And I think that's when you're so emotionally attached. But what does it look like when you can detach a little bit and be like, hey, like from this time to this time, I'm going to work on my business. And then the rest of this evening, I'm going to go take care of myself and do what I love. And that is part of the adventure, is letting ourselves just be a little bit less emotionally involved so we can be better business owners.
Also less emotionally involved around like that version of ourselves that we want to discover. We change all the time. Like who I am today, like in conversation with you, is not the same person it was yesterday while I was teaching or doing my admin. And I think for me it really helps to honor where I am right now. My values change, my personality changes, the things that I want in life and what I'm prioritizing changes all the time. And so learning to be there with my current version of myself and move my business around it, not building my business around one specific version that I decide for myself. This really helps me. And thinking about my business as set of experiments. I tried this today and I'll see how it goes. That non-identification piece you were mentioning, being able to drop it at any point, not being attached to this particular line of work. This really helps. So that flexibility, that resilience of navigating through it with non-attachment, I found that really helps me. Not be afraid to fail. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, in a
Yes.
very bold way. Not be afraid to fuck up very badly. This helps.
And it will happen. I think if you are listening to this, please know that being in the wellness industry, it's like yoga, it's like meditation. It's not perfect. I feel like yoga and meditation and just mindfulness really teaches us that like we are human. And I don't know anyone who's shown up to yoga and is like, I'm having a perfect day. I'm feeling so great. A lot of times we show up because we have intense shit happening. And yoga and meditation and all these amazing tools help us regulate our nervous systems. I love what you shared about just like the non-attachment again, because I always say like test things out in your business and don't be married to any of it. Like I know like we all love wellness. It's all why we're here. It's all why we do what we do. But like from a business perspective, I have learned that like I will not marry myself to anything because if it's not working, I'm going to throw it out and try something else. And it's just like, it is what it is. I've learned like what worked and what didn't work, and I'm going to use both of those things to build something better and like test it out. And when I say test it out, it's not for 24 hours. This is such a common thing, especially with people I have worked with, is they freak out if something doesn't work within 2 hours. And in what world is that real? If you're a business owner in the wellness industry, the first day you show up to yoga is not the day that you do a half moon or a crow pose. I'm talking years later. So in business, test something out for 6 weeks. And that way you have enough time, whether you're like running a meta ad, whether you're testing out a new landing page, maybe you're A/B testing some titles in your email newsletter. Keep testing things out for 6 weeks so you have data that shows you what actually worked and what didn't. And do not freak out if you don't have results within 2 hours of something. To me, that's crazy. What's that quote? The day you plant the seeds is not the day you eat the fruit. And like, that is my mantra for business. Just because I had the idea today and I created something with it today, I'm probably not going to get results for a few weeks or a month, and that is okay. And it's like being in that journey of trusting yourself and trusting what you created, what you planted.
That's such a great point. That's the other end of the spectrum, right? On one end, we are getting really attached to what we want to do and with this predefined idea of what we are supposed to bring in the world, what is our mission even, like smash our face into it over and over again. And on the other side, there is just giving up at the first sign of blah, no one put a like on my post that is not meant to be. Again, another lesson that we can draw from yoga is about balance and being in the happy middle, that famous middle way, middle path, and understanding when is the moment to stick and to apply discipline and consistency, and when is the moment to sense that there is some ego involved in there. And that's, I deserve this. I really, like, that's where I have to push and push. And so, yeah, how do we find that happy middle and we breathe in the middle of it? That's the art. That's what excites me about this business thingy, right? We say that is at the end of the day is just another spiritual practice, running a business. Yeah.
I love how you view business as a spiritual practice, because I forget that a lot. For me, yoga is something very spiritual. It's something I dedicate an hour of my day to almost every day, and my practice is my whole world. If yoga or meditation or any mindfulness practice is only 1 hour out of our day and we're running a business, then our business absolutely deserves to be a spiritual practice. And I think running a business teaches us a lot about ourselves, at least for me. Like how I show up in conflict, how I show up when no Wi-Fi or technology or systems are working.
Uncertainty. Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when you launch something great and then none of the sales like checkout pages work, and it's like, great, like thank you. And it's like I'm very comical about it because like that's how I just maintain. But it is something very spiritual, and like at least for me, like I think we can all have something spiritual like to start our business day. For me, like I'm really into astrology. I'm really into like tarot cards and like angel cards, and I'll pull a card, or like I'll even like read an astrology about my business or like the chart of my business, and that's something to like set the spiritual tone. Do you have anything that you do to like set the spiritual tone or just like the vibration of your business every day?
What I can mention is that I think intentions is it's very cliche, but intention really drive everything for me. So starting from journaling, I write 3 MIT, most important tasks at the beginning of the day. And that's what, if I complete these 3 tasks, these 3 intentions, this is going to be a successful day. And this really helps me to, keep me grounded. This is only about these 3 tasks. I don't have to achieve, I don't have to, do everything today. There is 3 tasks, and with this very strong intention behind. And this also helps me with the sense of achievement. I was very focused today. And yeah, that's what helps me driving what I want to do.
I love that. MIT, I'm going to use that. Most important tasks. Where do you write these tasks? I have actual sticky notes, and I have the sticky notes that are installed on my laptop, and also, how much time, if we have 3 important tasks every day in our business, how much time do you spend on each to get them done? Or is it just however much time needs to be done?
Yeah, that's a great point. So first of all, I have my physical journal. I don't have it with me right now, otherwise I would have shown you. But I'm a really visual person. So I like to write it down and to, with a very colorful highlighter, like cross the task once it's done. And this, I think even the manual act of doing that helps me with this sense of achievement and in setting this intention, manually setting it. I know that people get a bit lost into which tool I should use. My husband really likes Trello, or I played with many different tools. It doesn't matter. Pick a tool. I would say that would be my advice. It really doesn't matter. And one important thing is that the task should be achievable within today. So if there is a very big task, for example, launching my retreat, this shouldn't be a task for the day. This should be something that is realistic for me to achieve today. And that's how I think I keep myself accountable. This is doable today, I can do it. And I have ass or but method, meaning I don't raise my butt from my chair until this task is done. So
I
I
love
have
that.
to copyright this in some way. Yeah, so my but method. This is how I get things done.
Love that. Like you're like, we are staying in this place and we are not leaving. Like for me, it's like literally putting my phone in another room and I'm like, we are not looking at any app on this phone until this task is done. Yeah. I love that you have a journal because the journal for me is manifesting it in real life. So I love that. And I love how you're strict on yourself. And I also like how you mentioned how if you're going to launch a retreat, that's not something that's going to happen in one day. And I would love for us to chat a little bit about the breakdown of it. For me, I help, literally what I do is I help my clients launch their retreat. I do all of the landing page, the website building, the listings, the social, everything they need. And like for me, like it takes a full 2 weeks to get all of it done. And I know like a lot of Westerners are like, oh my God, I need it done in 2 hours, not 2 weeks. But it's like if you want something that is like successful, that looks good, that is easy for your guests to get through, whether it's like a retreat or an online course, like take the time to set intentions around what you are building because when we are rushed through things, shit breaks. Shit does not work well. It doesn't look good. Maybe you even like forgot to set up the mobile version of it. And I feel like when we're like rushing through these tasks, it's kind of like yoga. We all end up in Shavasana. So like, why are we in a rush? Why are you going before I even said anything? You didn't know we were going to do that on the right side. I didn't say that. Why are you in a rush? Who taught you to like run that fast when we are walking right now? And I really try to like set that intention with my clients. I'm like, this is not going to get to you by tonight or tomorrow. This is going to get to you by Friday if you want it to look good and if you want to get results, period. And that's really hard for some people. And it's very interesting for me to watch the reactions of people. Some people are very understanding and some people are like, why can't this happen right now? And I'm like, calm down. You're going to get results because magnificent things take time, period. Yeah. What do you think about that? Like breaking down a task so that one, we can be more present, more intentional and get better results.
I think it has also something to do with ego, that acknowledging the fact that we are humans, we are finite. We are not gonna move the sea today. What is something that realistically I can do within today? I think, yeah, is game changer thinking about us as, humans and finite.
I
Acknowledging the limits that we have. And also, yeah, this acknowledgement that like rarely today, these days we cultivate patience and we want everything right now. We can like click a button and Amazon will dispatch something today. And we are really not used to good things take time, and takes that where we put love into will give love in return. I think that's a whole mindset and that needs to be cultivated. At the very beginning when I started my business, I was really impatient to get things done fast, and I just rented a space and I thought I will do some marketing and I will pay for some ads and people will come. And no one came, no one knew me. I was new in the area and I did a lot. I was doing all the right things, but I didn't cultivate the necessary connection, personal connection around me. And it was a small community. People didn't know me. And so I think like skipping steps won't help you to get there faster. You need to go through the steps, breathe through it, be patient, and things will come, being consistent and understanding what's realistic to achieve within today. I think patience is the key in this business too.
I agree with that. It is patience. And it's also noticing ourselves when the patience runs out, getting mad when things don't work. And what I've learned through my yoga practice is if I get mad, if I fall out of a pose, that really teaches me how I show up in real life. Yoga and just even in meditation, if we're just sitting in meditation and we get angry at ourselves for our brain doing exactly what it's meant to do, which is like not shut up. And I think it's just really noticing ourselves within that. Like I've learned so much about myself as a business owner because of how I show up in and outside of my practices. You also mentioned like the connection piece. And this is something when I was in London, I really made effort to do because I was like the new kid in London. And I came from Lisbon where like everyone knows me in Lisbon. Literally, I could walk outside and 10 people know me and I didn't have to make as much effort to create connection because it was just, I had a yoga studio. People would come to me and then I go to London and I'm this tiny fish in this big pond. And what I realized is like I got more clients by creating human connections with people. Can you speak a little bit about that because you work one-on-one with people online? How do you foster even those online connections?
I find, and this might be controversial, that my online space is a way to keep on the communication going with people that I already know. I rarely get new leads online. So this is just the reality of my work and around what I do. It doesn't mean that for everybody it's going to be like this. But if I think about every single client that I have right now, are clients that worked with me before, perhaps in different capacity, perhaps when I still was, an internal coach in my old corporate job. They worked with me or they heard about me and then they reach out now to work with me one-on-one. Or for example, all the mindfulness corporate engagement that I have right now, or all friends that already know me and that they mention, hey, we are looking for someone to come doing mindfulness and leadership development. Do you want to come? So it's really, I think, in environment, people need to trust us, right? Like they open their heart to us, and it's so crucial that they know that they can rely on us completely. And so that's why I think in-person connection in my work right now are a little more important than showing up online in a very consistent way, in a very flashy way, perhaps. This is very, very helpful, especially my newsletter, in keeping the conversation going, or in putting a cheeky picture on my Instagram so that people can comment and feel like they know what's going on in my life. But not really for creating new leads. That's just the reality of how things are for me right now.
I love your honesty in that and appreciate that, because there's so much truth. Creating human connection and just taking the time to do that. I agree that I don't want to say it's impossible to get leads online. I've actually gotten a lot of leads. I don't really see Instagram as a place to get leads. I see Instagram as a place to build authority, but I use WhatsApp groups as probably the number one way that I get leads and then turn that into human connection. For example, when I'm in Portugal, I make effort to go to the retreat centers and studios who are my clients, because I want them to see, hey, like I really care about this. It's the same in London, really, and it's anywhere. It's not just these places, but it's just so important to establish, one, that like you're a real human. You're not just like on a Zoom screen. And number two, when you make effort, if you can just detach yourself from what the end game could be. Don't think about the money, don't think about getting the client, but it's just like, wow, I get to create a human connection today, and that's really special. That can be all that it is just creating that human connection, but you don't know like 6 months down the road, a year from now, like what that can actually blossom into. And like I've gotten incredible business experiences and like connections and leads and clients because of just taking the time to go to network events, to not be afraid to pitch myself, to also just like make it a goal to create one new friend.
Yeah, and again, if we manage to cultivate that kindness, if we manage to just show up in life as a genuinely caring person, people will know that that's the quality we bring in every kind of, everything. The Stoics say how we do anything is how we do everything. If we show up with care, people will assume that everything that we do will be infused in care. And I think that's the best business card, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like, I think your heart is your best business card, like showing up with your heart wide open. Because like people connect with that. Like if we're always just like if we're trying to be perfect, or like sometimes I'll like go to like networking events and someone's like, I'm a coach and I'm a coach and I'm a coach. And I'm like, my name's Britta and like I just moved to London and like I'm just really looking to meet new people. And everyone's like, yeah, like that's more human versus like just showing up as like your business. It's like, no, show up as open-hearted, caring, and human, and people are going to connect to that 10 times more than they are if you're just introducing yourself as your business. Yes, you can eventually talk about what you do, but I think it's again taking time out of the day to be in your business and taking time out of your day to just be yourself. And I think people connect to who you are more than what your business is. Yeah.
I love this.
I would love for you to chat about, because you teach online and like you cultivate these online relationships, but what I notice about you is like when we did a collaboration together is like you would really be excellent at listening to how people speak about themselves, and you would like correct them in real time. Actually, like, let's switch it to this, and it's not so they could be in a more positive mindset, but it's so they could stop belittling themselves, I noticed, or so that they could talk about themselves in a higher light. Can you talk about, maybe with yourself and with others, how you are just trained to hear those things and correct it in real time so that we can tell ourselves and the universe and also just be in a better mindset? Because that's something I'm definitely still working on. But how do you, because you are trained to do this, can you just talk us through a little bit how that works?
Absolutely. Yeah, these are coaching skills, and that's what we teach to our students in our ICF courses at Coaching Inside the Box. This is part of, you know, treating yourself as someone you love. And we, especially in the wellness world, we are so good in giving love to others and believing in others. And this is the same skill that we want to bring into ourselves, and seeing, the potential rather than always the fear and the uncertainty behind this. I really like the quote, what if our actions were driven by your hopes instead of our fears, and see how your whole vision of the world starts shifting. And also knowing that this is very easy to explain from a neuroscience perspective. This is called the negativity bias. So the idea is that our brain is wired for scanning the environment and looking for threats, and looking for all the ways we are falling short, or all the ways things can go to shit, can explode. And this is just because our brain is wired for maximizing our probability of success, not for optimizing or happiness, or being calm and being successful and regulating our nervous system. So what happened is that the most, jumpy and scared and stressed people in the past, our ancestors, were the ones surviving and were the ones passing their genes on. And so knowing that we have this negativity bias really ingrained in us, it required a really intentional act to remember ourselves that surviving is not enough. I want to thrive. I want to keep my nervous system in check. And that's where I really can connect to people, where really I can create a business I love, and I can achieve what I love to do. So this is the kind of shift we want to help people see, and being okay with where they are right now.
When you started your business to where you are now, can you give us an example of something you had to change the perspective on, or change from survival to thrival, or to thriving within yourself, so that you could show up with more hope in your business?
It's hard to say because I feel so many things. I changed and I grew so much in the past 3 years. It has been only 3 years, by the way. So now I feel I'm so happy in my business. I finally found a place of, peace and balance, and I hardly can connect with the Maria 3 years ago, where I remember being so anxious and so scared about my financials. Perhaps the financial were the biggest shift, feeling that crippling fear that I'm not gonna make it, how I'm gonna pay my bills at the end of the day. And so I think it was, and by the way, it really helped me, the masterclass that you led last month, and really helping myself to relate with money better, and not being scared about talking about money, to look at my finances. It was even an issue for me to open my bank account, and see how much money is there, and how to manage that in a smarter way. And seeing money as an energy that flows and comes and go. And again, it's just insanity. It's just the nature of things. Yeah, I think how to look at money and my relationship with money was the biggest shift from the beginning to now.
Thank you for sharing that, because it's something we all struggle with as humans on this planet, is money, and how we view money and how we show up in money. And this is something that's a daily practice for me. I just want everyone listening to this to know this is a very normal thing, and just like meditation and just like yoga, money is a practice. And I think it comes back to self-trust. I know how to manage my money. I know the bills coming in, or the bills going out, I know the money that's coming in. And I think when we get into this place of trust, which is a practice that needs to be practiced every day, myself included, I feel that's when more space is created for other things. When we're not spending all this energy in fear around money, what can we now spend that energy in love, whether it's around money or just anything else in our life? And I noticed that I make more money in my business when I am surrendering. When I go out to eat and leave my laptop at home and don't think about my business, suddenly I get 3 clients when I get home. And these things happen a lot. And I think this is the universe for me being, look what happens when you surrender. Really great things can happen. That's why we have Shavasana. And so many people skip Shavasana, or yoga teachers will teach an entire sequence and then leave a 30-second Shavasana. And it's if we could just teach the act of surrendering, we could master it in our real life and apply it to money and finances and just how we view money. Because yes, like you said, money is a flow and it's a surrender. And I have had to just teach myself that every day and just be in that surrender. And then when we have that surrender in money, what else can we surrender to in life? Like, what else are we controlling that we could just surrender to? And that's like really how I have to view it to keep myself out of like money anxiety. Yeah.
And again, how we do anything is how we do everything. It always just show up in different ways. And I want to say trust is a great one, trusting and surrendering. But something that really helps me as the analytical brain, really nerd that I am, is study. If you don't know how to handle your money, read books, like work with a coach, like someone like Britta, or join a course. The book that is right now on my desk is Money, a User Guide. Just because I felt I didn't have, the tools. I felt financially illiterate. And so what do I do when I feel like I don't know things? I start studying. And that's a way to, it's also exposure therapy. So read about money, listening to podcasts and like conversation like this, talking about money. And little by little, we can see that, that fear fading and getting a little bit more an idea of what is this about. And it's not that scary at the end of the day. It's an energy. And again, coming and going, like everything.
I love that. And we will link that book in our show notes. So if people want to read it, they can. I would love for you to just chat a little bit about, because you and I did an amazing collaboration where like I talked about money and sales and you talked about the mindfulness of it. And I think a lot of times we forget that we need both things. If you want to run a successful business, whatever successful looks for you, you have to be able to do the inner work so that you can show up with confidence, with presence in your business. Can you talk a little bit how these two things go hand in hand and like how you've seen it either with yourself or your clients of like when we do this inner mindfulness work, this is the result?
I feel it requires a really hard look in the mirror and seeing how we relate to financial stability. For some people, it's so important to feel safe and to have enough that they will, for example, never leave the job that they hate for taking the leap and starting their own business. And for some people, that's absolutely fine. I also want to speak about privilege. Not everybody can afford what I did, and I'm very, very lucky. And of course, it required a lot of effort, and it was hard. I'm not saying it wasn't for free. I think it's about understanding how much you value financial stability and security. Not everybody can do this or right at this moment. And if you decide that despite fear you want to do this anyway, it's about looking at the fear and understanding where it's coming from. Is it really your fear? Is it fear induced from other people? Is it realistic fear? What's the worst thing that can happen? And what's the best thing that can happen? What are you afraid of in case you succeed? There is a sense of you will get isolated. People, like, for example, for me, there was I used to be a software engineer and my partner is a software engineer. And so there was this really deep fear of our lifestyle right now are really compatible. What's going to happen if I change drastically and I start doing mindfulness? I'm not a software engineer anymore. Our schedules are going to be different. Will I be disconnected from my partner if this happens? And so there are a lot of limiting beliefs and ingrained pattern that we need to be looking at, understanding what is really blocking you and understanding what's the alternative. That's not the end of the story. The fact you're believing this right now doesn't mean that this is the truth. We say in mindfulness that's real for sure. Everything you're believing is real because you're feeling it in your body. There is a reason why it's there. But is it true? Is there different ways to see things? And this is the work that we want to do, the mindfulness and the mindset part behind this work.
I love this. I resonate with this so much. I worked at a yoga festival pre-COVID years ago, and I remember interviewing this yoga teacher who always said, like, is it true? Is it necessary? Is it love? And I think about this every day. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it love or living in love? And this is exactly it. When we have, as like a business owner, I've had panic attacks. I've very much lived in fear. I've had anxiety, and I literally have to tell myself I am not my anxiety. Like, I'm feeling anxiety. I am not my anxiety. Or like, this is trauma, but I am not my trauma. Or I'm having a panic attack, but this panic attack is not me. And I think when we choose to separate a little bit, we're experiencing this right now. And what are my options? What is the light at the end of the tunnel? This isn't me. It's something I'm experiencing. And I really believe that, like, when we can separate those things, we have the way to move forward or to get out of that, or to literally like sit in a chair in our mind and watch it happen without like it completely consuming us. Yeah.
Right. It's a difference between I am what I'm feeling against it's something I'm carrying right now. And at the end of the day, I think it's very helpful to remind ourselves that emotions are somatic experiences, are physical sensation on our bodies. Like I'm pinching my fingers, I'm feeling this right now. When I feel anxious, I'm feeling, I don't know, my chest tingling, my throat being tense. But this is a physical experience. I can detach from that. It's not me. I'm feeling this right now. I'm not my fingertip, right? And I'm not my tight chest either. I can see it. This is what I'm feeling right now. It's going to change if you watch it for long enough. Tonight, chances are that tonight you're not going to feel this way. What does it mean? That's not true anymore? Or that's the danger of over-identifying with our feelings and our emotions. That's the impermanent nature of this all. We can, if we watch it for long enough, quieter enough, we can see it coming and going and be present for it all.
Do you have a tool to help us get quiet so we can notice those moments?
I think unfortunately it's a practice. So I think it's unrealistic that when we are in the middle of this panic attack or whatever strong emotion we are experiencing, that we have a switch and we suddenly start paying attention and stop the over identification. So unfortunately I think that practices like it could be yoga, it could be mindfulness meditation or Tai Chi or having a walk in nature and be really present, so a mindful walk are those practices that if we do regularly helps us to, again, train that muscle in our brain that reminds us that we can paying attention without being that. So it's like when we go to the gym, we lift the dumbbell and we train our biceps. Every time that we practice mindfulness in the morning is a rep. And we train our brain to be present even when difficult experiences come up. This is my very mainstream tip.
I love this tip, and if you're listening to this, it's pick a practice, and I'm going to say stick with it for 6 months. And I know 6 months sounds like a really long time. It's actually quite a short time. So if you're going to choose meditation, try to meditate every day for 15 minutes. Like you don't have to become a Buddhist in the monastery and meditate 23 hours a day. You can do it for 15 minutes. Maybe you don't have time to practice yoga for 60 minutes, but you have 30 minutes to be in your body. Take an hour out of your day every day and go on a walk through nature. And you don't have to do all three, but just choose one and stick with it. It's just like in business where we choose to test something for 6 weeks. Test it for 6 months and just see how you feel. See what the results are. And if it's a more positive or negative thing, or not even that, but maybe it's like somewhere in the gray where like maybe because you took a pause out of your day, you have time to feel your emotions. You have time to notice like what is actually happening in your body. So I love what Maria said of like, it's a practice, and I'm just going to say pick a practice and stick with it and just see what happens without an attachment to the outcome of it.
They say that the best practice is a consistent one. Doesn't matter how it looks like, for how long it is, just pick one and continue. And to people saying, I can hear people thinking, I don't have time for this, even sitting 15 minutes in the morning. But you do walk during the day, you go to the tube station, you do make yourself a coffee, be present for that. You brush your teeth at the end of the day.
Yeah.
This can be your practice, set an intention. And if you can be present for that, chances are you can be present for other things.
If you have time to scroll through TikTok or Instagram,
that's an even better one.
You have time to have your practice. And that's something I am preaching to myself, saying that. I'm like, I'm so tired, but I spent an hour on social media. And I'm like, nope, we're going to spend that hour doing yoga instead. And it's like, what can we also switch out in our days to make time to take care of ourselves? And I think that is what it is. It's like changing that switch in our brain to, I don't have time, to like, I will make time, and see what that does for you. Earlier you mentioned a little bit about privilege and like how you had the privilege to leave your job, but also how like you and your partner basically had the same role. I don't know if it was in the same company, but you chose to switch into your business. Can you talk a little bit about that process and just like what it can look like? Because sometimes I feel like people will get like a meditation certificate or a yoga certificate and they know nothing about the business, and they'll quit their job and then they make no money, and that's just a really unintelligent move. Can you talk about like some steps that you took to like set yourself up financially for success? for people who are like maybe a year from now or 6 months from now, someone is looking to build this, but they don't know what that looks like. Like if they're coming from corporate world into, we'll call it wellness world, how can they financially set themselves up so that like they will be good for a certain amount of time until they really start like moving forward in their business?
Thanks, Britta. This is exactly the conversation that I wish I heard before starting to have a reality check. And I don't want to say it's not possible. This is, again, just my experience. But as you said, I do feel it's unrealistic to think I'm going to leave my job today and I'm gonna try and I'm gonna find clients starting from tomorrow if I start posting on social media. I don't think this is realistic. And people saying the contrary, like they don't think they have a really solid grasp on reality. So what happened for me? I was a software engineer and I had a good salary. I was living in Berlin, and as a software engineer, I had the chance to build a nice savings. So I felt I had enough to survive for 1 year without working potentially. So that's the point where I felt I had the privilege to feel I'm safe enough and I can experiment for 1 year and see what happens. And worst case scenario, I was telling myself I can go back to corporate and finding a job. So the transition for me looked like before switching completely, I started working as an internal job. So as a software engineer, I started studying facilitation, Scrum Mastering, if anyone in the audience is familiar with that. And I became an agile coach, which is basically coaches that help teams and leaders within their organization as an internal coach. I don't know, it was probably 4 years as an agile coach, organizational coach. And I moved to London my 4th year, and that's where I felt like I think I have enough knowledge, experience, and network to be able to try this on my own. At the same time, in parallel, I was a very passionate yoga and mindfulness practitioner. I started my training with Jack Kornfield and Tara Brach. And so this all together gave me the confidence to say, okay, now I have my savings, I have knowledge, I have networking, I can do this and see what happens. So I think these are the 3 things I would look for before jumping.
I agree with this wholeheartedly. I'm someone who has like rarely worked in the corporate world. Like my most corporate job was like managing corporate yoga studios. And I think it's so important, like your network is your business. Like for the people in the back, like your network is your business. And going to network events, like my whole time in London, I just went to network events and taught yoga and worked on my business. Like that was my life. And I really agree with you on the fact that it's your community. Like you don't know anyone at the network event, they could become your community. And it's just like these people are the ones who are going to like shout you out. My friends and I, we kind of do this thing. I'm like the yoga teacher in my friend group, and I have a friend who's like a realtor, and I have a friend, and I have 2 friends who are realtors. I have one who's like a stylist, one who works in nutrition, and it's kind of like view your circle like that. Like each one of the people in your life does something different so that you can like refer them to other people. And I do that on purpose, at least in my life, because it's like, I hope I'm the yoga teacher. I hope I'm the businesswoman out of my friend circle. So like they know that they can refer me and vice versa. And I think it's that, like, rather than like going to like a wellness event where everyone and their mom is like a yoga teacher, a meditation thing, like go to the network events where like the people are not that. And then you are that person, and then you're going to be that person for them. And I feel like I'm doing math out loud right now, but that's how I see it. I also love how you brought up Agile, because fun fact, my uncle was like the creator of Agile. I'm not making this up. This is like, he wrote
the Agile Manifesto.
Yeah, he wrote all the books on it, and like this is what he does. He is like the OG Agile. So I'm happy to connect you. But yeah, that just like made me smile, because I'm like, this is literally what my family is. This is like what the family was like raised on, was Agile. Like the books are like this big, and he signs them for all of us, and I'm like, you're my uncle, I don't need your signature. But like it's just like I really understand Agile and just like the importance of it, and I love that like this is something you incorporated into your business that you have now. So thank you for sharing all of this. If people want to work with you, whether it's online or in London or even in Italy, where can they find you? How can we get connected with you?
Thank you, Britta. I think the easiest way is going on my website, that we probably also paste in the comments of this podcast. Is that right? So it's going to be www.mariachietera.com, or finding me on LinkedIn, Maria Teresa Chietera, or on Instagram, maria.chietera.coach. I would invite you to subscribe to my newsletter. I really love writing it. People say it's a lot of fun and there is occasional wisdom going on in there. So it could be a really nice way to stay in touch. And yeah, that's a starting point.
And I'm going to shout out Maria because she is someone who is just so genuine in her work and so caring. And I think there's a real difference in that. Like there are people who like do it because it's their work, and then there's Maria who does it for the love of it. So like if you want to work with just a mindfulness facilitator, a meditation and yoga instructor who just has her whole heart in it and has that business background, it's Maria. She's amazing. I've worked with her. I think she's incredible. So go find her. We'll put all of her information in the show notes. And thank you, Maria, for taking the time to be on here today and to show up with vulnerability. I see you and I so appreciate you.
Thank you. It was lovely to be here with you today. Thank you. Appreciate you.
If you are a women-run business and want to be featured as a commercial on the Yes podcast, then send an email to britta@brittamareda.com or check the show notes to get the details. Thank you for listening to the Your Entrepreneurship School podcast. If funding your life abroad sounds like something you want to do, then check out the show notes to find out ways we can work together. If you feel called to leave a review, then you can find me on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. I'll see you on our next episode where we will expand our business bank accounts in brilliance without settling for a life that tames us, all while saying yes to our wildest dreams.